have done that, then you are calcining the material. Calcining of the material actually brings the required atoms of titanium and oxygen near the barium to make barium titanate. Now, if you calcine the material at 800, it will form one type of phase. If you heat it at 1000, it will give another opportunity. If there is another phase metastable in between which requires less energy, it will form. If you heat it, calcine it at 1100, then it may form another phase or increase in the amount of the transformed phase. You have barium carbonate, you have titanium oxide. When you heat them at about 700 to 770 degrees centigrade, the barium carbonate will decompose into barium oxide and barium carbon dioxide. Barium oxide and carbon dioxide. When the carbon dioxide has been removed, then the barium oxide will react with the titanium oxide to form barium titanate. So calcination, you calcine the material at different temperature, do XRD of that material. If the total phase is barium titanate at a specific temperature, that is your optimum temperature. For example, at 800 you see peaks of barium titanate, but there are also some peaks of barium oxide and titanium. This means there are some unreacted materials inside them. So when totally you have pure phase, then you have that pure phase in the form of powders, right? But for properties, you need solid samples, you need components, you need resonators, you need transformers. You are making a specific component from that material. For this purpose, you come here, this is the pressing machine, right? And you put a die here, you fill it with powder. The die must be clean. When you are using it, you put tissue paper, wet tissue paper with acetone or propanol, pass it through the die so that no dust particle or any roughness is inside there. Then you put the die like this, you pour the powder down, it is a plunger to stop it, and on the top there is a plunger, and you put it here. Then you force it, and this scale tells you how much pressure do you need to apply, and that pressure, remember, depends upon the diameter of the die, right? When the diameter is small, a little force can create more pressure, and if the diameter is large, then a lot of force is needed to achieve the same pressure. Usually ceramic samples are pressed from 80 megapascal up to 100 megapascal. Remember, decreasing the particle size below a certain level may cause agglomeration. Not decreasing the particle size to an optimum size may leave some uneven particles inside the material. So always try your best to reach the optimum level and you will get the best properties. Similarly, pressing it. Why are you pressing it? In order to make the desired shape for the component to be tested. Secondly, you are densifying the material. The powder are not dense. You press it, they become denser. But if you use much higher pressure and when you release it, the material will crack. So there is also an optimum level of pressure as well, and you will have to check. This manual pellet press, we have one automatic pellet press. Internationally people use isostatic pellet press. So there are various sorts of presses which densify the powder, press powder, and to different densities. So you achieve, for example, 40% dense material when you press it with the optimum pressure. Now, for microwave dielectric application, for example, you need above 95% dense material. To achieve that density, you go to that furnace, that chamber furnace. It is up to 1800 degrees Celsius, right? This is Nabarthon furnace and can go up to the 1800 degrees Celsius, right? You put the sample on a clean aluminum, molite or zirconia disc or plate. Put sample here in order to save the furnace, and then you can set it at the desired temperature, at the desired rate. Some materials, when they are heated at a high speed or cooled at a high speed, they crack, right? So you will have to be careful to use the optimum speed of heating, cooling, and how much the material should stay at the desired temperature. Sometimes the sintering occurs at 1200, sometimes it will be at 1300, sometimes it will be at 14 and 1500, right? So it depends upon the material at which optimum sintering occurs. Common sense says that heat at the highest temperature and you will melt it, and that will have the optimum density. This is wrong, right? When you heat the material above a certain temperature, then its density again decreases. So the optimum density has an optimum densification temperature, and you do it here. Once you have heated it, densified it, then you polish the surface. And after polishing the surface, I'll tell you in the next machine. But yes, but let me show you. This is the glass melting furnace, right? But I'll start that pellet from the second layer we have. This is glass melting furnace. The difference between the glass melting furnace and the chamber furnace is that you can open this furnace at high temperature. Its element is not damaging, because when you make glass and you cool it down, right, it may crystallize. So you suddenly take the material out, pour it on a steel plate into the desired molds if you want to make desks or whatever you want to make, and then quickly transfer it to another furnace which is below the crystallization temperature of that glass, right? So you keep this furnace at 1350 to melt the material, then keep this furnace at 400 so that you can shift the material so that it doesn't crystallize but it cools slowly, so that no stresses are arrested inside the material. If stresses are arrested, then they will try to expand. The material will feel under stress, and when it tries to expand, it cracks and it breaks into pieces. So you slowly cool it from 400 there. This was the drying furnace I told you. This is the ultrasonic bath which people use for cleaning the materials. You put the material and it has a magnetic type shaking and resonate the material. Here you polish the material to clean the surface, because if the surface is not smooth and well polished, then the properties will not be that good. So you polish the material and it moves, and you hold the material like this. This is the treater mill. For certain material which are clean, we use this treater mill. It is just like that horizontal ball mill, but what horizontal ball mill can do in 24 hours, this mill can do it in 2 hours, right? So when you need quick cooling and quick uh, uh, quick decreasing of particle size, then you use this. These are all tungstens, so they are very difficult to scratch or erode. This plunger, you put milling media inside it, then powder, and the same acetone or distilled water or whatever, then raise this up, close it with these must be clean like this, and start it right with plunger in, and it grinds the material very quickly, and it is one of the latest machines for milling, for decreasing the particle size and mixing as well. This is a glass bottom loaded glass furnace. You can make glasses in this furnace. This is the again the polishing and the grinding wheels. Are they connected?
No, not yet.
Okay. So you select the speed. The speed must not be very high because you are holding the sample in your finger and they rotate, right? So you go up to, for example, 300 and you keep the sample like that. So the sample size must be such that it doesn't damage your fingers. There are some auto machine as well, but we don't have that. That is in this furnace. This has been made by the MRL staff because when we asked for saws from outside, they were more than 300,000 rupees in 2005 and 2006, right? But I couldn't cut bricks, marbles, or big blocks with those furnaces. They are good for micron level cutting of material. So our MRL staff prepared this saw which can cut anything, right? You can change the blade. If you need rough cutting, use the rough blade. If you need large size cutting, use that sort of blade. If you need to cut fine cutting, then like that, which is available here. There. In this furnace, in this saw, what you do, look here, this is a micron scale and you can move it here and there, right? Here is a micrometer here. So with this you can decide how many micron cutting do you need. Then you fix your sample here in this grip type thing and you bring it down here. This thing, here is a place and you can, where is its accessory? So you screw them here and you put it here, and by moving it you can decide the thickness, how much you want to cut. And here is oil to lubricate the blade, and it is the diamond saw, right? So it can do fine cutting because you need a lot of cutting and polishing with these. This